Greetings, friends. You're on the Ruslan Belov channel, and today we'll discuss the situation in Ukraine as of November 25th, 2025. Today, a large number of very important events occurred, so let's get started. And we'll begin with the Zaporizhzhia sector, where units of the armed forces of the Russian Federation continue their Zaporizhzhia offensive. Today, the map, as you can see, has once again undergone changes. This is what the map looked like on November 24th, 2025. The first data and reports appeared that the settlement of Zaporizhzhia was completely cleared by the Russian army. This information was also confirmed yesterday by the Ministry of Defense of the Russian Federation. And based on all these statements, all these video materials, we corrected the map yesterday. Today, additional information is coming in that Russian units either managed to completely clear or managed to encircle the settlements of Zeleny High and Chervone. Also, the Russian army managed to approach closely to the territory of the settlement of Huliaipole. Moreover, some neutral cartographic sources report that the Russian army managed to enter the territory of Huliaipole, namely to take control of the farms located in the eastern part of the settlement. These are the farms we're talking about now. Of course, we're waiting for information that could confirm this, because if this is true, then the fighting for Huliaipole has already begun, in fact. I remind you that over the past several days, information has repeatedly come in that individual groups, reconnaissance sabotage groups of the Russian army, have already managed to infiltrate the territory of Huliaipole. Today, this information may be finding its first confirmation. We'll be watching. But in any case, regardless of whether Russian units entered or not, apparently everyone clearly understands, including the Ukrainian military command, that the part of Huliaipole that is located on the Russian side of the Haichul River will fall, apparently, without offering significant resistance. Perhaps along the Haichul River it will still be possible to offer some resistance and hold the front line. But even this, most likely, not for long. Next, we move toward the city of Pokrovsk. The Pokrovsk agglomeration. Today, a large amount of very important news is also coming from this sector. Let's start with the territory slightly to the west, the settlements of Molodetskoye, Udakhnoye. Today, a number of cartographic services made corrections in this sector, according to which Russian units are currently actively advancing north, trying to bypass and take in semi-encirclement the settlement of Novopodgorodnoye, and also advance further north toward the settlement of Sergeyevka. This is what the map looked like yesterday. Today, by the end of November 25th, this territory acquires the color of a gray zone. Speaking of Pokrovsk itself, a large amount of important news is also coming from here. What would I like to draw attention to? First, the map, as you can see, has once again undergone changes. This is what the map looked like on November 24th. Today, according to various experts, the map takes on this character. Pay attention, Russian units, according to individual sources, are improving their positions east of the settlement of Rog, trying to finally cut off the southern salient of the Mirnograd-Pokrovsk pocket. Also, today information is coming in that Russian units are trying to improve their positions along the Rog-Svetloy line, as well as the intersection of Olympiyskaya Street and the T-05150 highway. Fighting is now underway for strongpoints located in the area of Zaporizhzhia farmstead. This sector right here. A most important strongpoint, the clearing and control of which will definitely put an end to the question of the encirclement of Mirnograd and the further fate of the garrison of the armed forces of Ukraine located on the territory of this settlement. Also, important footage is coming today from the northwestern part of the city of Pokrovsk. This footage is being published today by Ukrainian sources, and it's still difficult to understand how to evaluate and assess this footage. In this video, we can observe a group of AFU soldiers who are essentially freely entering the territory of Pokrovsk from its northwestern part. As you can see, according to our map and the map of most cartographic services, with the exception of pro-Ukrainian sources, this section of the front is colored in favor of the Russian Federation. And here, the first footage has appeared on the network, according to which Ukrainian assault troops are calmly, so to speak, operating here. That is, it has not yet been possible to establish when this video was made. Perhaps the footage is archival, perhaps footage from some September or, well, definitely, or early October. Therefore, for now, we're putting this sector on pause, but there are already some As you can see, indirect clues, indirect evidence that perhaps the situation in the northwestern part of the Pokrovsk agglomeration, for most cartographers, does not correspond to the reality that is now happening in this direction. If we receive more evidence of the presence of Ukrainian formations in this sector, we will of course make corrections. Next, we move slightly north, toward the breakthrough, the Shakov pocket, the Dobropilya direction. Today, information is coming in about the almost complete restoration of control over the territory of the settlement of Zaporizhzhia. This information is provided by neutral cartographic services. We see that the Ukrainian counter-offensive in this direction has stalled, and due to the fact that the Russian army is counter-attacking in the Zaporizhzhia area, the chances for a breakthrough or chances for creating a safe corridor for the contingent on the territory of Mirnograd are becoming less and less. Also, today extremely important information is coming in about the advance of Russian units toward the settlements of Zaporizhzhia and Toretsk. I remind you that yesterday information appeared about the complete clearing of the settlement of Shakov. Although the Ministry of Defense of the Russian Federation has not yet confirmed this information, today there is already information about advancement towards Zaporizhzhia. At the present moment, the distance from the forward positions of the Russian army to the first structures is already less than 1 kilometer. The Ukrainian side is trying to stabilize the situation in this sector by transferring additional reinforcements. However, all equipment entering the Shakov pocket is immediately destroyed. In this direction, a large number of corrections should be expected in the near future. Next, we'll discuss the situation in the area of the settlement of Konstantinovka. Today, the Ministry of Defense of the Russian Federation reports that units from the South Group of Forces have completely cleared the settlement of Ivanopoliye. Based on this report, we are not making corrections because over the past several days there was already information about almost complete clearing, and there were also video materials confirming control by the Russian Federation. Today, this information, in addition to geolocation, is also confirmed by the Ministry of Defense report. Next, we move to the Siversk direction, from which extremely important news is coming. Today, the eastern part, the eastern flank of Siversk looks like this. As you can see, the map has undergone significant changes. This is what the map looked like yesterday, November 24th. Today, based on various materials, including video materials, we made a correction in this manner. Today, neutral cartographic services and pro-Ukrainian cartographers confirm information that the Russian army has completely cleared the strongpoints located on the eastern flank of the city of Siversk. We're talking about this network of strongpoints highlighted on the map with yellow lines. Also today, Ukrainian sources from the 54th Brigade published this video. And in this footage, we can observe a series of FPV drone strikes by the armed forces of Ukraine on the forward positions of the armed forces of the Russian Federation. These buildings and these structures, these episodes were geolocated in the city of Siversk. One of the strikes that can be seen in this footage hit precisely at this point. Based on this footage, we came to the conclusion that Russian units, in addition to advancing in the southeastern part of Siversk, are currently actively trying to advance in the northeastern part as well. With such pace and such directions of strikes, there is an extremely high probability that in the next 2 weeks all of eastern Siversk will come under the full confident control of the Russian army. Also, Russian units regularly carry out airborne bomb strikes, artillery strikes, and drone strikes on the main supply routes that go from Sloviansk through Ry-Oleksandrivka toward the settlement of Siversk. Here, a large number of corrections should be expected in the near future. Also, very important news is coming today from the territory of the settlement of Lyman. According to individual sources and experts, over the past several days, the Russian army managed to expand the zone of control in the eastern part of Lyman, take control of a strongpoint located south of the Krasny-Lyman airfield, and also gain a foothold in the central part of the city. Fighting is underway in the area of the settlement of Dibrova, in Lyman itself, also north of the settlement of Drobyshev, more precisely in the northern part of this settlement. And it is reported that Russian troops are expanding the zone of control in this settlement. Assault operations are being conducted in Drobyshev, but no advancement is being recorded. Also, Russian troops are striking AFU positions in the area of the settlement of Yarovaya. and news is coming from some sources that assault operations of this settlement are underway here. As soon as confirming information about the expansion of the zone of control arrives, I'll tell you everything and we'll make these changes on the map. Strikes on RF armed forces positions were carried out using FPV drones and artillery in the area of the settlement of Yampil and in the area of the settlement of Zarekhnoye. And that's the news for today here. We're moving to Kupiansk. In the Kupiansk direction, there are also no changes without news. The news concerns the settlements of Nechvolodovka, Blahodatovka, Osinove, also Kurilivka, Petropavlivka, and Kucherovka. Fierce fighting is underway here in the area of the settlement of Kucherovka and Petropavlivka, also Kurilivka, and strikes are being carried out on AFU positions in the area of the settlement of Osinove, in the area of the settlement of Blahodatovka and Nechvolodovka. Also, video material came from this point. Here, a strike was carried out on AFU positions with a FAB 500. Here, a temporary deployment point of the AFU was destroyed. Thus, we can conclude that the AFU is still present in this sector of combat operations. And if FABs are arriving at AFU positions, then naturally infantry is not working here. And as you know, FAB arrivals mean that preparation for assault operations is underway. Preparation of the territory for assault operations. Strikes are being carried out on fortified areas, on temporary deployment points of the AFU, after which infantry already works. I remind you that the Ministry of Defense of the Russian Federation stated that Kupiansk has completely come under Russian control. Also, the settlement of Petropavlivka has come under Russian control. But from neither Kupiansk nor Petropavlivka have confirming materials about complete control of these settlements yet arrived. We're moving further along the map. News is coming from the Veliki Burluk direction. There are no changes here today. The news coming is that Russian troops are striking AFU positions in the area of the settlement of Obukovka, Kolodezhnoye, and Nova Vasilivka. In turn, the Ukrainian side carried out strikes on Russian positions in the area of the settlement of Otradnoye, Dvurashanske, and Kamenka. FPV duels are going on here, and perhaps the advancement will stop here. If in the next 2 weeks no advancement in favor of the Russian army is recorded in the direction of these settlements, then this territory may become the same as in the Liptsi direction and in the Sumy direction. There will simply be a buffer zone, and mutual shelling of each other's positions will go on without any advancement. That's the news for today here. We're moving further along the map. From Vovchansk, there is also only news today. Fierce fighting continues in the area of the settlement of Vovchansky Khutori, in the central part of Vovchansk. And now Russian troops are striking AFU positions in the area of the settlement of Vilcha, in the area of the settlement of Izbitske, and in the area of the settlement of Ternova. Here, the front line has become active precisely in the direction of these two settlements. Perhaps strikes were carried out on temporary deployment points of the AFU, or perhaps in the coming days, Russian troops will be expanding the zone of control in the direction of these settlements. But nevertheless, news from these two settlements came today, although earlier no news came from here. No advancement is being recorded here. And that's all, dear friends. Thank you for watching, subscribe to the channel, leave your likes, all the best to you.